Hey everybody, back at you again for today's sketch card. This is going to be a fun one because I'm going to be doing not one but two of these. Um, Bear with me just a second here while I refresh and post this on the page so everybody can keep up with us and join in when they want to and check it out. Like I said, it's just going to be a fun one. I've got Pumyra and Jackalman on the table right now. So this is going to be fun. Oh, let's see here. What did I do with my pencil? Hey, Mitch. How's it going, man? Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I'm going to start off with Pumyra so we can get her underway here. She has really, really large ears like a puma, and I always appreciated the fact that they replicated the look of the cat for that. Because, it's generic marking stuff for most parts in animation. It's kind of influential, but they actually went with going all out for these characters, and it was always highly appreciated as a fan of the series. So that was one of the things that I always enjoyed, was the fact that they would go full on and knock these out and just make them go for it, Now, Pumyra, if you don't know who she is, she was one of the cats that was added later on as new cast in the later seasons of the series. And she was added with Linkso, which I drew the other day, and a character, Bengali, which was based on a Bengal. And you can look that up if you don't know what a Bengal tiger is. Those things are gorgeous animals. This character here was based off of obviously a puma, and she is just unbelievably cool. I am a huge fan of this character. When she got added, I thought Chitara was always awesome anyway, but when they added her, it added an extra element that was between Wily Kit and Chitara, so there were actually options for the ThunderCats to thrive in the Third Earth environment, which, they led the series to believe that there were no more ThunderCats, but yet later on they added many more, and in the comic books they later added even more, coming into the to the fold of the series, to where more and more ThunderCats made it to Third Earth and were surviving from the mutant attacks from Plundar and whatnot, and how Mumra was involved in whatever that they went on with, because they came back with I saw a series. I collected the series called The Return. I got the Straight Line series from what was it? Oh, who was it? Was it DreamWorks, or was it? I don't remember which company did it. One of the Image Studios did it, and I'm not sure if DC owned Wildstorm at the time or not, but I think it was Wildstorm. And anyway, they went off to make a regular ThunderCats series. It was limited, and then it came back as a series called The Return, where they aged a little bit more and grew up, and the artists got to redesign the characters, and they were reworking the story. And then it had Dogs of War, which was great, because you got to see the ThunderCats actually evolve and grow up and have, interactions, family interactions, where they showed more of what happened in even more of an extreme future with the series, which was just wonderfully done. And then you had a couple more after that, which were, spin-offs and things like that. And they worked out all right, but nothing in the lineup was as good as the original, nor as that follow-up series, Dogs of War, which they announced that it wasn't just Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats. He was actually King of Third Earth at the time, and had a beard, and they had kids, and whatnot. Wily Kit and Wily Cat were all grown up. They were in their 20s, at the very least. Yeah, it was pretty impressive. I enjoyed that series. And when they brought the Thundercats back, when they brought the series and revived it, I thought that they were going to do something along that line for the TV series, but then they didn't. They went ahead and did the reboot, and I was just, I was like, "Yay, Thundercats are coming back!" And then when they rebooted it, I was like, "Oh!" So, you could just hear the crowd effects playing in the background. But like I said yesterday, Matt got me into the series, and thanks for that if you're watching, dude. Because I did give it a fair chance, and it really turned out to be a nice series, and I'm actually enjoying it right now, which preemptively I did not. It just didn't click with me, but I gave it a chance, and yeah, it turned out to be pretty cool. So yeah, nice little tidbit there. But anyway, I am working on, I got asked earlier what I was working on, and I was working on this website property of mine. It's a hosting company that I run, and I was updating the website, and my template crashed. It was horrible. It was supposed to be a WordPress template, and I was going to put one on there that I'd looked at purchasing as a temporary, and what ended up happening was that template just didn't have everything it was supposed to. So I got my money back on it, and I'm going to go ahead and finish building my custom version and posting it this weekend, which I didn't want to sidetrack and do because I want to put out the new comic book that everybody's been waiting on and hounding me for, because like a doofus soap in my mouth and said it was coming soon. Now they're like, it's soon already. When? So I got to handle that. Got to pay homage to the fans and do the job, man. So we're going to do that. And going to do some podcasting this weekend. And I'm trying to find out confirmation on whether I'm going to get a special guest on or not, or it's just going to be me. So we're going to find out on that one too. So you guys hold tight on that. But while we're doing this here, I am just knocking out this young lady here. Oh, got to get that eye just right. Okay, cool. Now, I'm leaving her open like I did Chitara because of the fact that I don't want to over detail it, but I am going to put in some finite detailing and go from there, because I want to make sure it looks good and has some depth to it, because you guys have been raving loons about this new style that I've gotten since I did the Pumyra thing and it took off. And thank you very much for all the support and the praise on it and stuff, and I do appreciate that. It does not go unnoticed. I love doing this stuff for you guys, and to note what was going on with this, I was just all over practicing with these cards, and you guys thankfully picked up an amazing fan base, which I did not expect, but it turned out very cool. And as you know, we've been hanging out for a little while now, and my style has grown up a little bit since the first couple. It still has hit and misses in there, and I like that because that shows me that whenever it makes a transition downward, it normally makes, within the next card or two, it makes a huge jump forward. And since Pumyra, it's just been up and up and up, and I'm hoping it doesn't drop off and level out again. I would like to see it just take off and go from there. But, it's a life of an artist. You have great days, good days, medium days. You get it just done, and you want to throw an eraser at somebody across the room and just say, shut up, and they didn't say anything. So that's just the way it works. But whatever floats your boat, as long as it comes along and the captain remembers to pick you up on the way back or wherever he drops you off, you're good to go. So we are getting into the finishing touches here because, like I said, I don't want to over render this one because she is really cool. Got to put in some details here for the hair and whatnot so we can tell where everything's at. And she's got kind of a funny little part going on with this one because the way she does her hair is that she folds it back and it wings with this one little section hanging down here, these foxtail type of things. And if you ever seen a puma or a mink stole, you'll see that sometimes they have that little white patch on the end of their tails and at the tops of their ears, and a lot of times on their paws, believe it or not. And no, they're not the same animal, but they are cousins, I believe, from the same very, very strict family of feline wildlife. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and black that out because I don't like the way that looks with those lines. I don't like the way that feathering looks, so I'm just going to black that out because I thought I was going to be able to feather that, and it looks too stiff. So we're going to go ahead and shade that up and not worry about it. Moving on. See, like I said, live art. That's the way it works. Hey, Tom. Glad you're on hanging out, man. It was getting lonely in here. So, I'm going to shade this out a little bit. Come across here. Put a little bit of a zhuzh, as Will Spatasio likes to say, the little zhuzh in there. So pop that out. And I'm leaving it open because of the fact that she has a really rich brown color to her hair. It's almost an auburn style color. And I want to make sure that that gets reflected in this. So I'm going to leave a lot of this open. And it's not going to be as formally shaded out as it would be because with other characters, because I want to keep that open and I want to make it sporadic rather than, spot on as a hairdo kind of thing. So we get a lot more texture out of it than we normally would. So I think that works. Gonna black out a chunk of her ear there. That would be weird. What'd you do that for, man? Just be all comments of, you were doing really good there for a while, then you just started shading everything in like a nut job. Put the pencil down and back away. So, I'm in a really relaxed mood today for some reason. I'm not sure why as yet, but I'm sure I'll find out. So, now she's got this whole thing going on. I'm going to put a little bit more of a deeper divide in here because she's got this whole thing going on where it divides into white hair right here in the middle. And I'm going to put it pretty heavy at the top. Normally it would be way over here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it like right here where this ridge is. So it definitely stands up as the white being in there. I just like the look of that. I'm going to do a 1980s technique where they used to block out the hair right here at the edge of the hairline where it would fold back, right where it starts to fold back towards the head. It's got that swoosh right there that comes up. So it's got that down slope and makes what would be the bang area. So I'm going to go ahead and shadow that in. And then I'm going to shadow this, like I said, this tail here hanging down in front of her face. I like the idea of that being shaded in a little bit. Put a little more thicker lines across the hair, the white tail, so that it looks like it's going to separate a little bit. Thicken it up so we can see it. Make some divides in the hair here. I know those are thick lines for that, but when I go in and ink this, I'll feather some of that and it'll thin out a little bit. She has this big neck piece that she wears. Once she gets her ThunderCats uniform, she changes into this one, and it gets this really cool bronze looking neck piece. I don't know what to call it. I don't want to say a choker because it's not designed that way. It's like just a neck guard or a necklace piece kind of thing. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it a necklace. That'll be fine. I just really like the look of this thing. However, in the animated series, it did go all the way up her neck. It was like an old school kind of maybe an African piece or Egyptian. I don't know what they influenced it from. It was very cool. But it was there nonetheless, so here we have it. No matter what you think it is, it's definitely like that. It meets in the middle, and that's where it was. Now, these are shoulder pads that she got with the new uniform as well. Not the second generation, not the revamp, but it was her original brown suit. She got these maroon pads added to the edge of her suit, and it was a shoulder guard kind of thing. I'm going to put a little bit of texture on there to make it look a little more like fabric, because that's what it is. That'll work. Okay, now we're going to cut in her collarbone right here, and I'm going to go down here to the old shoulder strap. And this did not go across all three. It only went across the middle of the first two. So now we've got her strap from her wrap or her dress, whatever you want to call it, her tunic maybe. That's pretty much what it was. It was a tunic style. Going to draw this in real quick with this other clavicle. So now she's got support. Look, she's got bones. So gonna come across here. Put in a little detailing with a finer close-up type feathering. I'm gonna put it right here too. Right here across that muscle in her neck. So it's not developed as much as, you know, it would be if I cut in here and put that triangle in that everybody knows. It would be more masculine, and it would stand way up. But right there, it's just got a little bit of a curve to it, you know, like she would as being a female character. However, she had really ripped shoulders, so we're putting in a prominent shoulder there. And right here, I'm going to put in a slight raise on her chest for the pectoral muscles right at the top, because she was really fit. Not too busty, but really fit. And we're going to leave that open for the back of the neck, because I made her head that way, and I don't want it to look, you know. So what I am going to do here is I'm going to put in this little bit of detail off of her eyes because she had this cool look right above her eyes, like it was natural eyeshadow kind of thing. And I want to put that line in there to make sure that I border that so that she looks more like a ThunderCat with a painted face kind of deal. So, with that said, though, I'm going to feather this up just a little bit to separate it. Now we have that going on. I'm going to feather this underside too to give it a little shadow without blocking it out because I don't want to do that. Okay. Now, Pumyra is considered done. That's it. That's all we're going to do with that one. Now I'm going to move over here to Jackalman. This is the weirdest mutant out of all of them. This dude right here is a strange critter. If I was to go up toe-to-toe with any of them, MANHUNTER would be the hardest physically for a human being or a ThunderCat to actually fight in the real world. But I tell you what, it would be this dude that would creep me out. Because, I mean, this guy is just, it's like the worst case scenario of any car salesman that you can ever think of. Those, not the good guy, the good guys that come up and work with you and give you a good deal because, they're trying to make a living. I'm talking about the jerks that want to come up and make nothing but money off of you and will scam you 10 ways from Sunday, and it'll be like, it's a beautiful car. And then down the mile down the road, you're calling for AAA to come pick you up because the thing is, it's a lemon. That kind of sleazy type of situation. It's just one of those things, man. This guy is just really creepy. And he's right up there with me for Pennywise, you know what I mean? It just bothers me. When you think about him from a realistic perspective, to think about, as a comic creator, we think about a lot of that stuff and they, sit there and think, well, what if this character was alive and you really had to face it? What would you do? What would you do if you had to fight Jackalman? What would you do if you had to, confront this type of alien or this type of being? And we do that for fun, it's not serious like we're talking about it like it's alive or anything awkward like that. It's just comics. But so I've been asked that numerous times over the years, and it's just like, this dude, man, whenever I get asked about it, it's just like, yeah, everybody says, well, I wouldn't want to fight the Joker, or a character like that or whatever, and that's just, nah, you can see him coming. I'm talking like weirdness. It's freaky stuff. And this dude is it. He is a wackadoo, as they would say. But anyway, enough of that. It's always interesting to think about that kind of stuff because that's where a lot of our writing comes from, as fantasy writers and artists. That's where a lot of our inspiration comes from, is stuff actually being real and becoming plausible is what makes it so interesting and so in-depth, and what makes the style get into this rich, cool place where you guys get to see all these cool things come across the page. So, a lot of people don't realize that. Like, I've been getting asked all week if I would sell, if I would do custom pieces or if I would sell, this one or that one. And, one guy offered me, he pegged me for about 4 or 5 hours and wanted one of these for $10, And I was like, well, how many are you wanting, kind of thing. And I was going to do it special because it's not within my normal budget range, but I was going to consider it as a special offer because it was a new client. It was going to be an icebreaker and whatever. But, he kind of got insulting a little bit with, and I won't name who it was, of course, but I wouldn't disrespect anybody like that. But, this is the point of learning your pricing position. And for the sake of having something to talk about, the dude came at me and said, well, I'll give you $10 a piece if you'll do 5 cards for me. and I don't, need them colored or anything like that. I just want the pencil work. And I was like, well, that's something we can discuss. And because you're, a new client, I would consider that. And then he went off and insulted me and said, but I want you to send them to me for post. I want you to include the postage and take care of that for me yourself. And I was like, there wouldn't be any money in it for me that way. And I have to consider my time and what I'm taking away from to do that project. So, you got to think about that. But it is what it is. I mean, there's a bunch of people out there that will try to do that, unfortunately. And I'm not one of those type of people where, I'm saying you have to get paid and whatnot. I'm not like that. I work on the project depending on how much I want to work on it. And if it's a project that I'm interested in, I'll definitely jump on it. I don't care if it's promotion or not. If I've got the time and I can do it, awesome. But there's a lot of times that I don't, and you got to consider all of that. Prices are standard for a reason. So I did not want to do that, and I did it anyway. I went right over his jaw, and I know they show his jaw on here, but what the heck? I'll go ahead and leave it in because I know they show his jaw anyway, but I wanted to have the hair coming out of the side rather than out of the front, but that's okay. I'll make it work. Because I'm going to put this beard thing coming down. He's still covered all in fur, but I'm going to make the beard come all the way down. I just wanted to make it look different style-wise, but this will work. I just wanted to look a little different style-wise, but that's okay. So see, that's one of those things, drawing live like this is not for everybody. It's really not. I've seen a few people come off with this and just lose their marbles. It's like, how do you do these lives all the time? Well, for one, I just get in there and do it. I don't think about it. What happens, happens. It is what it is on the air, and if I don't like it at the end, I'll delete the video. I haven't come to that point yet, but you never know. I mean, if something gets weird on the video and I need to re-record it or whatever, that is very plausible. However, for the most part, whatever happens, happens. I just like the idea of leaving it natural and letting, whatever runs. So let's see here if I can get this hair going, speaking of which. Yeah, that's coming off really well. All right. Okay, gonna put one up here, the back side of his nugget, right in front of his ear there. I kind of want to scratch this up just a little, make it look like a little bit of hairs over there. That way. And I'll put a little bit over here. That way, so that rounds out. Okay. I'll put a little bit of fur right up in this ear here too, because I want to make sure that it looks good. And make sure the hair comes across. Because jackals have really strange ears. He is looking really cool. Because they have this bubble that comes out like this, which goes down here into the ridge. into that outer lobe. And then they have this hook kind of thing going on right there. And then it goes down into the ear itself. So you get kind of a triple sound. I don't know if that's why they can hear so well, but they supposedly hear better than us anyway. So, and being of the canine species, I'm guessing that's what that's all about. I'm not a vet nor a scientist. I don't claim to know. So if you want to do the research on it and see exactly what's going on with it, cool deal. If not, that's fine too. It's just comics. So, and in this case, it's just 80s animation. Okay, I'm going to kind of make this look cowlicked and a little gnarly and nasty. And then I'm going to make this little kind of a sprig back here, because they're not known for being very cool. Put that behind the ear there. So it looks like a little hair is coming off. And I'm going to rough that up a little bit. Now, we're going to go right in here to the top of this ear. There's the back. There's the top. And we'll get one little mark in here, and that's it. Now I'm going to cut in these weird eyes. Because the Jackal Man has these strange, funky eyes. Because they come down kind of like a cross between a dog and a cat. But weird looking stuff. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and put that spot right there on that side. Put a little bit of a different highlight on there. Make him look a little more organic and creepy. Wrap that up to where it's under the eyelid. Yeah, he's coming out all right. I'll put a little bit of a chin buffer right there underneath that lip. And we'll get into fleshing some of this hair out here in a minute too. Kind of put in a drop shadow here and there. Remember the hair thing. Try to make it to where it doesn't go straight on the point. And that way it'll look a little more three-dimensional in the way it comes out. So a little heavy side on that one. And right here too. Just these little details like this make it pop up quite a bit different. I really like to do these because it makes it almost look like it has a curve to it, which is a little different. Because I've seen guys block out to where they'll actually physically have a line going across the hair to make it ridge out a little bit. And that's fine, you know, if you want to do that. If that's your thing and you're comfortable with that, go for it. I absolutely concur. Go for it if that's what you want to do. For me, I don't like to do that because of the fact that I don't want to mess it up and I don't want to make it look too stiff. So, which does tend to happen a lot more than people think. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scratch in right here a nice ridge on that ear to make it just a little more formidable. There we go. Now, detail out that center ear. I've seen guys that'll dry themselves just off the deep end completely with this stuff. And it's like, it's not detailed enough. It's not detailed enough. It's not detailed enough. And then they'll look at it they'll take a break, finally snap and take a break, and then they'll come back the next day and it's like, I over detailed it, and they'll be in there with burning up an eraser, smell like somebody peeled out a hot rod race car right in their office. Try not to kill yourself with that stuff, because it's go for production, go for good, and go for quality. Don't try to go for perfection, because you'll never get it. The best thing you can hope for as perfection is to set your bar lower, to where when you do this, you'll get done. You'll reach a place that looks good, and then you'll move on, and you won't have to mess with that. Otherwise, you might go off and just, your wife or your husband will hear, or your significant other might come in and, all of a sudden, hey, I'm home, and it'd be a bad deal. You don't want to do that. So it can happen. It can happen. So, but take my advice with a grain of salt here. Like I said, I'm drawing comics. That's all I'm doing. Just drawing comics. So we've got that cut in. Now this is the shoulder pad. This is the traditional, just basically the Plundar body strap that they all have. It was funny to me because their armor, quote unquote armor, is just a big strap. That's it. So, all of them have it. Slithe, Monkeyan, Vultureman, all of them. They just had this awkward strap to them. And they all have it. Now, this isn't going to be extremely straight here, because I'm freehanding it. But, yeah. Just going to pop this in here and shade it and see where it goes. I am not, like I said, production over perfectionism, because perfectionism will drive you bonkers. And it's a crazy, crazy world without all that mess. But anyway, there's that strap and that buckle. Trying to get that nice three-dimensional look on there. Now this buckle goes up underneath the shoulder, the up under the shoulder guard. It doesn't come down on top, so that's the reason that it got cut off there. Because I've had people in the past tell me, hey man, that guard's supposed to go up over. No, it's not. Well, how do you know? Because I'm drawing it. These days, everybody's a critic, and some people they think they're trying to help, but then they stick their nose in it, and it's like, no, my toes hurt. Stop stepping on them. Let me draw the thing. If you want to draw the thing different, you draw the thing different. That's what I tell all my, my students, and just pretty much everybody that wants to draw something like this. If you want to come across, have you ever seen this guy in person before? Will you ever see this guy in person? I doubt it. So, do your thing. And don't let anybody walk on you that way. I say that all the time. So we have that, we've got that going on already, so I won't rehash that. But now moving into the anatomy part of this for his collarbone and his chest and stuff, I know his chest is really, really small, but the reason for that is because of the fact that Jackalman is the most gangly character out of all of the mutants in the ThunderCats. Even Vultureman. Vultureman is bigger than, if you ever see the cartoon where they showed Jackalman standing next to the Vultureman, you will see that big thing sitting there with those big powder puff down feathers on his shoulders, and Jackalman standing right next to him, and they are not the same size. Jackalman is much smaller. I always found that just interesting that they diversified them that much, because the ThunderCats were pretty, other than Panthro, the Panthro character being just huge. Um, the characters like Lion-O, Bengali, Lynx-O, those guys were pretty much the same size. You know, it was pretty uniform. You know, they were just all there, and that was one of the things I always hated about the ThunderCats. I don't like them when they make them universal, where everybody's got the same model. You know, even though Tiger was supposed to be thinner and leaner, because you know lions are big thick cats, and tigers they're huge but they're leaner, and that was one of the things that was always a letdown with the ThunderCats series, is the fact that, you know, even back then when I was a kid, you know, 9-10 years old when that thing came about, and it's still one of those things that bothers me till this day. And when I go off and make characters, I try to make them diverse so that they're not exactly the same in every pose and in every build. I mean, that there's one thing in being stylized, but there's another thing in being monotonous in your anatomy. So, you know, check that out and make sure that you don't do that, because I know a lot of artists that do, and they say it's a style thing where, you know, that's just the way I draw people. No, it's not. That's lazy from not doing the anatomy and the scope for the character. Don't do that, because I'll call you out on it. You'd call me, and I'd hang up on you, but still, you'd call me. So, so it is what it is. But yeah, we got this whole thing going on. I think we are about done, ladies and gentlemen. There's that weird crystal they all have right in the front of their gear. But giving them a little more of a break in the hair, because I like the way that's popping off and holding up really well. I just don't want it to look flat right at the edge. So there we have it, folks. I'm going to put in a little more shadow right under this jaw because of the fact that that's the way his face goes out. His cheekbones are kind of creepy like that. Putting in a couple of little squiggles on the armor. Now I'll line this one so that we can see it's a side. There we go. Cool deal. All right. So now you guys have asked me to show a few of these. So I'm going to recap some of the ThunderCats stuff up to this point so you guys can see it. I'm not going to go through all the cards again. It's not one of those type sessions. But there is Jackoman and Pumyra. And we'll finish up with Bengali tomorrow as rounding up the ThunderCats. There is Lynx-O, which I still have to ink. There's Slithe. Let's see, I'm going to stack these so they don't fall off. There's MANHUNTER, which came out really well. Vultureman, Snarf. You can see where the lines started coming into my style. I just picked up, like I said. There are Wily Kit and Wily Cat, Chitara, Panthro, Tigra, and Lion-O. And tomorrow we will finish up with Bengali, and that's going to be it, folks. Like I said, I hope you guys dig them. I will be coloring these to match up the Mumra, so it's going to be a pretty impressive set. It will be a subset within the card series, and I'm hoping that you guys will like them and continue to watch. So after tomorrow with Bengali, we have another set, which will be a short set, actually, just of the primary characters of the Tiger Sharks from that series. And then after that, we start into the cool stuff. I'm going to start doing the classic Transformers. I will not be doing the modern Clockwork, as they're known now, the Michael Bay Clockwork style, I will be doing the traditional block style Transformers. So you guys have a great evening. I'm going to call it a day. I got a little more work to do before I call it a night. And thanks as always. Thank you so much for the support and the shares and watching this stuff and supporting these things and keep them going. Be sure to like on the page for me and keep them going and let me know that, some comments and stuff if you guys are digging these. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.